I don't want to get it too caught up in talking about every single episode individually in this video, because if I did, well, we would be here for hours on end. So I'll just take one specific episode and talk about some of my favorite bits, and then I'll also go over the season finale, because there's just no way I can't. So, late 2000s BBC Robin Hood show, episode 9, A Thing or Two About Loyalty. This is one of my favorite episodes in this season, and that's saying something, because there are some good episodes. Now get ready, because this synopsis is almost certain to blow you away. So the episode is about Gisburn and Robin racing after the same prize, the ledger of Gisburn's good scientist friend. Oh, also one small extra tiny detail. The ledger is about how to create black powder in the year 1192, which they call Greek fire throughout the episode, and it also involves Much becoming lord of a manor, basically by accident, and being spied on by this lady who works for the sheriff. Oh, and Gisburn's good friend, the scientist, has stick grenades. What? Okay, so let me go a little more in depth about this episode. Let me get my giant magnifying glass and examine this episode with the vigor of a pretentious video essayer. So the episode opens as the sheriff, Gisburn, and Marion attend a demonstration of Scientist Guy's great creation. Actual, literal, black powder in the year of our Lord, 1192. So this guy starts setting it up and everything. He puts out a little bowl of gunpowder and a trail of powder to ignite, just a little bit to demonstrate nothing particularly major, nothing that's gonna, blow their minds too much. Oh, holy crap, okay then! So, apparently this tiny little cereal bowl of gunpowder ignites with the fury of 1,000 suns and leaves a massive crater in its wake. So the sheriff is all like, Oh my boy, simply brilliant, well done. And Scientist Guy, well, he's not quite sure, because he doesn't want his creation to be used as a weapon to hurt people. So he makes a break for it using his actual, literal stick grenades in the year 1192, which somehow only create this tiny little baby explosion when the aforementioned tiny small bowl of gunpowder created an explosion the likes of which had never been seen before and will never be seen again. So the guy is eventually captured and taken to be tortured in order to find out where he hid his ledger with the recipe for black powder. Now Robin and the gang, well, they don't want this in the sheriff's hands because, as Alan very aptly puts it,
you know, you can take out a whole town, couldn't you? Hello, villagers. What, you can't pay your taxes? Boom, you're out.
Well, this could be a pretty inconvenient development. So the fellas send Much out to get arrested so he could get a scientist boy out of jail, and his idea of getting arrested is just to be that guy on the street corner screaming his conspiracy theories.
John, in the absence of good King Richard, has turned this country into a state of terror. His followers are thugs! Our taxes are too high!
No, his second method is just slightly better, because he starts to suddenly kick guys, which works a little bit better. So he gets arrested. A couple scenes later, he is made a lord, because apparently it'll keep the peasants in line. To surmise the sheriff, the peasants will look at it and go, well, hey, he was made a lord. Well, maybe if we just keep our heads bowed, we're good little boys and girls, we'll be able to make it one day too. Okay, alright then, seems legit. So this is where the episode's B-plot kicks in which Mulch lives it up as a lord and has to juggle playing pet for the sheriff and giving info to Robin and co., all while being spied on by the sheriff's operative. So after this scene, Gisburn goes to sulk some like the edgy, hot topic wannabe goth he is. Gosh, he's so cool. And Marion gives him a plan as to how he can help his good friend, scientist man, the black powder pioneer. But oh no! The sheriff overhears them from quite a distance away when they're whispering about it. It's really quite remarkable. So Robin goes to visit the scientist person that night, gets the information he needs, and recovers the ledger. So, how's our boy Mulch doing right now in his B-plot? Well, our good lad Mulch is settling into his new accommodations really quite nicely, along with the sheriff's spy Eve. I'm not kidding. The character that Mulch falls in love with and is supposed to be wary of, lest she ruin everything by giving important information to the sheriff because she's such a temptress, is named Eve.
How do you make this stuff up? You can't. This is real. It's incredible. It's beyond words, really. These men, the men who make this show, are the new Renaissance masters, really.
So anyway, after a very strangely provocative interaction with Eve,
there is something particular, which I think will make your first evening at home complete.
Oh boy.
Come upstairs.
So Much is visited by Robin, who gets a note from Marion from Mulch. So Robin then goes to see Marion, melodramatic soap opera ensues, and then we get this. The scene in which the sheriff manipulates Gisborne while literally painting his gross toes deep black. The sheriff of Nottingham, he manipulates Gisborne while painting his toes a deep black. I'm in love with this man. He is a beautiful gift, and I will talk about him more later. Now, by this time, I think you probably get the general idea as to why this works so well. So, it's time for the quick fire speed round recap thing, whatever. Marion tells Robin the plan, but oh no, Black Powder Man has been killed. So the fellas melodrama a little bit, Robin comes up with a genius idea, and it ends like this. BBC Robin Hood has one of the best season finales of all time, and it's a two-parter, but I'll only cover a little of part 2 for the sake of time. So, after the events of part 1, which I won't spoil, our good lads are super depressed, and now everything is dire. Marion is being forced to marry Gisborne. Robin is upset because his hot gamer GF has to marry his rival for very legitimate reasons concerning she and her father's safety, but he has the mindset and temperament of a middle school child baby man.
Once Marion is married, it can never be undone.
Then what is your plan?
Edward, I will think of something.
No! That is not good enough. You will raise Marion's hopes. You will raise her hopes only to see them dashed. If you care about her, spare her that. If you cannot save her, I beg you, do the right thing. Let her go.
Do you know something? I am sick of doing the right thing.
The sheriff has a super evil plan to kill a bunch of guys, and Much has to deal with it all while Robin treats him like actual garbage.
You speak every facile thought that comes into your head. You're like a pox on my skin. I keep scratching, but you never go away.
Robin is a terrible person in this episode. The rest of the show, too, actually, but it's especially in this episode. Now, the episode takes itself super seriously throughout the whole thing until suddenly, they basically just go, screw it! And you get Marion just decking Gisborne at the altar, riding off with Robin on horseback in slow motion. The gang strings the sheriff up by his ankles in a very cartoonish way, and the episode ends like this. Oh, and there's a bit where the sheriff loses a tooth, which was not, in fact, scripted at all. I'm not kidding. Keith Allen literally actually lost a tooth on set that day, and they made it an element of the episode. It's incredible. I would have spent longer talking about the episode, but really, you gotta experience it yourself. And now with that, we move on to the final section of this part of the video. Now you can't have a good Robin Hood show or film without a lovable cast of characters. And boy does this show have one. Let's look first at the main gang real quick as just one big group. You got Will Scarlet, this absolute scarecrow of a man with some of the most frightening deadpan expressions I've ever seen. You got Jack, the spunky young one. You got Alan Adale, the lovable rogue in the group who is basically just that one friend who's super loud and obnoxious. You got John, he's a big teddy bear. You got Roy, he's dead. And last but not least, my boy Much, who gets some of the best bits in the show as you've seen in prior segments. So we've established that our main cast of lovable rogues is just immaculate. But what about our main cast of characters? Well, boy, are you covered there! Robin in this show is an amalgamation of everything early 2000s. But I think this quote from yet another old article, this time from The Guardian, about this show sums him up fairly darn well. Jonas Armstrong's Hood looks like a member of a boy band that got lost in the woods after a team-building weekend and has been forced to live on nothing but hair gel. And that might as well be literally what he is. An early 2000s boy band member absolutely rocking that homeschool haircut that every cool homeschool kid had back in the day. From his obnoxiously snarky demeanor, to his very self-important mannerisms and vanity, to his dashing sexy looks, he's also kind of a terrible human being, and I'm not kidding. Once you look back and finish the season, you realize Robin's kind of a terrible person. I think my co-host and I summed it up fairly well in our podcast episode about this show, which I will now very, very unsubtly and very, very shamelessly plug. Please go listen to it.
But then there's a point you reach where you realize, like, towards the end of this season, like, holy crap, Robin is a horrible person.
He is awful.
He is an incredibly vain, prideful,
selfish piece of crap.
Like, he will rush into a situation without thinking at all about the consequences and get people into trouble. And then he'll be hailed as the hero for doing it.
But then when any of his men try to do the exact same thing, he chastises
a later
them.
Episode, for instance, when Little John, when his son has been roughed up and taken to the actual literal dungeons, and he tries to rush in to help him, Robin pulls him back and is like,
chastises him as if he has any ground to stand on there.
He's like, no, there are too many of them and too few of us.
There are too many of them.
Later.
There has to be at least 4. Even though I've single-handedly taken on 17 before.
As his son is being roughed up and pushed into this prison cart, meanwhile he does the exact same thing on numerous occasions and is hailed
for
as
far less.
For far less.
When far less is at stake.
Like,
or how about when he gets all sulky that his hot gamer GF is gonna marry someone else?
Yeah,
that he
like
completely pushes away everyone.
Like he does.
Like he
has throughout the season.
Legitimately awful to Much there.
He really is. Like throughout the season, he like makes fun of and belittles Much. I can't think of a genuine scene between he and his best friend where he is a good person to him and doesn't make fun of him and like says anything.
Usually there's some sort of sense of camaraderie to it, but then at the end he's just awful to him for no reason other than that
season. And he has throughout the season, he has this infatuation, not even a romance. He has this middle school level infatuation with Marion. It's an insanely immature infatuation with her. And when he finds out that she's gonna marry his rival, because for very legitimate reasons, because if she doesn't, then her aging father, who has done a lot of good for these people, his life would be in danger as well as hers, and they wouldn't be able to do anything good for the people of Nottingham anymore. You know, along with dying. And Robin Hood just like, what? But you don't love him. I love you.
You're supposed to love me.
What's wrong with you? You're not making your own decisions marrying him. He's a bad person. Can't you see that? Come to the woods with me.
You should stay inside with your embroidery.
But you can't have a dashing boy band hero with the mindset of a cool middle schooler without his great, sexy rival. If there was ever a physical embodiment of Hot Topic Edge, it would be this man. He bleeds wannabe goth in every way possible. The man dresses head to toe in leather. He has some of the most glorious, beautiful, slicked hair I've seen in television thus far. And he always has these looks of just brooding angst and edge. The first scene he and Robin share in the first episode sums up both of their characters rather beautifully and concisely for the rest of the season.
Welcome back, Loxley. Now, I have kept your lands for you. I have managed your estates to the best of my ability under the guidance of the sheriff. And I would appreciate more respect in front of the populace.
How many years have you been here?
3 years, 4 winters.
And yet you still do not have the respect of the populace.
My men and I will leave directly for Nottingham.
My servants will help you pack.
How was the Holy Land?
Bloodthirsty.
That's it. That's them. That scene right there sums up their whole rivalry over the course of this season and sums up Gisborne as a whole. That right there is the essence of who he is for 13 episodes straight. But these two don't just have a rivalry because they never got along in medieval high school. No. They have a rivalry because they both have an infatuation with our next character. Much like Robin, Marion is kind of a terrible person in her own right. She is terrible to her father, incredibly hypocritical, and boy is she... I don't really have much of anything to say about her, I'm just gonna be honest. She's a fairly basic, straightforward protagonist. Honestly, she works best because of her very basic mediocrity. Her straightforward nature plays off the other two's very ridiculous personalities and character traits for the sake of ironic comedy. So, moving on now, we have reached the last of our 4 great characters, and thus, we have reached him. I'm gonna tell you a little tale real quick. So one day, while on set, the producers were gathered around talking in hushed tones. It was their first day filming with the sheriff. The only problem was, well, they didn't have anyone to play the role. You see, they had searched and searched far and wide across the land for who could play this part with the finesse and subtlety required. They needed a true thespian. And then, as they were huddled around, there came a great angelic music from the sky, and a great light appeared. And as they watched, awestruck, Keith Allen descended from on high, carried by angelic whispers and song. And then, he delivered one of the greatest performances in the history of the performing arts. The Sheriff of Nottingham, in this show, is a gift from on high, an utter blessing and delight in every way. Where even to begin talking about this man? The cartoonishly evil demeanor, the slight whispery delivery of his lines, and the sudden outbursts of rage and facial expressions, or the wonderfully hammy and over-the-top performance. Well, how about we start with the fact that in the scene after Robin humiliates him in front of the other nobles, his first reaction is to go to his designated bird room, take one of the birds out of its cage, and promptly crush it to death in his anger. You see, the man dominates every scene he's in, not because he's particularly intimidating or controlling. The man is actually rather pathetic, but instead because he's so gosh dang charming and so much fun to watch. And there isn't a single exception in this season. A lot of that is due to Keith Allen's incredible performance, because you see, everyone else in this show plays it straight. They're all ridiculous and stupid, but they legitimately play it straight. When Robin gets emotional, I mean, he's going for that Oscar. This man, however, does not. You can kind of tell that Keith Allen looked at this and went, oh, this is very bad, very specially bad, and I am going to have an utter blast with it. And he did. The man rides this fine line between incredible hammy overacting and a very quietly condescending, mustache-twirling performance, and it makes for this contrast which is wholly unique and so much fun. In fact, actually, I've put together this little montage of appreciation, highlighting just why this man is an international treasure to be protected and cherished.
Not leave a stone unturned, he will be found. La-di-da-di-da. Well, get on with it then! What now, Loxley?
Oh, I will kill you. I'm going to kill you. I mean it. Look out, I mean it.
Just as I thought. It's meant to be a holy war, but it's paid for out of my taxes, not yours. Mother?
It's more than we have managed before.
Oh, yippee. So the king is starving in the Holy Land and you have failed him. But
it's more than we ever managed before.
People of Nottingham, we are gathered here today to witness the carrying out of justice in the name of God and King Richard. Bring out the prisoners! We have a saying in this country, all work, no play. That's what the poor do. 2 words. Peace off. Throw him in the dungeon. Where's my gun?
You're not in hell for this!
Really? Just for this? What do you think? Should it be yay or should it be nay?
To an increase in the plough tax, I say nay.
Nay! I knew you would say nay! Eh? Nay! Horsey, horsey, horsey! Nay! Underneath all that Mother Superior performance, there's a naughty little girl, isn't there? Am I right? No? Underneath all the haughty, there's quite a bit of naughty.
You fool! We've been set up! Now you dispatch every man you can to the caves! Bring me Eve and fetch me my horse! I hate this! This isn't much fun at all! What is this? Who does not kill? What is this? Suicide! Fire!
Robin Hood, mine.
Soldier!
I don't know about you, but I work best to a deadline. Of course, when people say deadline, they don't usually mean that somebody will be dead at the end of it. You see, there's always a catch. In politics, there's always a deal.
Tattoo. What tattoo? Shut up, you big jester!
Oh, come on, Robin. That's just pillow talk, isn't it? Right here in the Great Hall. A festival of pain. They help those that seek to undermine my authority. Therefore, they must all be punished. Matthew, my left-handed. Clue? No.
Stop mewling, Gisborne! Maybe in future you'll think twice before painting your arm like a girl. Get me out of it, Gisborne! Get off my man! Get off my
No, you didn't have to kill me. Because you could sacrifice yourself.
I promised to pay! No, I cannot. Go on, you will have to kill. Guards! Guards out!
BBC Robin Hood is a fascinating thing to me. it came essentially as something just meant to fill in the time between Doctor Who seasons, and at the time, from what I can tell, it became fairly popular. Then it just kinda vanished into the endless void, and any trace of it is really rather scarce. It's a relic of the late 2000s, when everything had to be cool, and new, and modern, and completely unself-aware. The show is a hidden gem, if I've ever seen one, and it needs so much more love. Not because it's good, no, it's really quite awful, but rather because it is such a blast to watch and laugh at. It is one of the most fun shows that I have ever seen, I do believe, and hopefully now you know why, and why you should watch it. The show is on Amazon Prime, if you have that, so, well, go watch it. Why are you still here watching my crappy video? If you don't have Amazon Prime, then, well, I guess you could go buy the audiobook thing of Richard Armitage reading the scripts, which is a real thing that you can actually buy and own for yourself. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to own that. I would want to own that. I mean, speaks for itself, really. Late 2000s BBC Robin Hood show is a beautiful, campy, ridiculous ride of a show, and you know what? Right here, right now, I'm starting a movement. Bring back Robin Hood. Don't do a 4th season, because that would be kind of difficult, what with Robin being, dead and all at the end of season 3. No. Give it the Cowboy Bebop treatment. Do a movie set somewhere between season 1 and 2 that's basically just a very long episode. Bring back all the writers, all the producers, all the cast members, everyone. Bring them all back for one last grand finale that's not a finale. Just please, BBC, let me direct this. Please, just let me. I want to make this so bad. If not direct, just let me be involved in it somehow, please. # Revival Hood. Let's do this. Let's bring it back, because I believe we can do it. Please, BBC, I need this. I need it so bad. I have an unhealthy addiction to this thing. Please just give this to me.